Now, the Ministry of External Affairs, responding to a question on Trump's post, which was the one that we were speaking about, said it has no comments on the matter at the moment. However, when asked about relationship with the U.S. amid tensions over trade tariffs, MEA spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal said that New Delhi continues to remain engaged with the U.S. side on trade issues. Jaiswal said, and I'm going to quote him here from the recent press conference, he said, "We share a comprehensive global strategic partnership with the U.S. and we want that we work on this with mutual respect and shared interest." The MEA also condemned Donald Trump's aide, Peter Navarro, for his casteist remarks against Brahmins attempting to spark a political divide here in India. MEA said that India considers his statement misleading and inaccurate and does not accept the same. On H1B visa policy, MEA said that the mobility partnership between India and the United States is an important pillar of this relationship. On Quad Summit, Randhir Jaiswal said that it is a valuable forum for discussion among the four member countries on shared interest on several issues. The MEA also answered questions on the Ukraine conflict, a matter which has become increasingly significant for India, what with Trump blaming New Delhi for the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Let's hear it.
Visa. Look, Sudhi, mobility partnership between India and the United States is an important pillar of this relationship. It supports our technology collaboration, it supports our economic collaboration, it supports several other things that are happening in the space of innovation, new emerging technologies, financial collaboration. We value it, and it is something that brings mutual benefit to both sides. While it creates space for our skilled people to work in the United States, it also adds a lot of value to the competitiveness and productivity of American enterprises. It is something that is in mutual benefit. We continue to engage with the United States on mobility issues and see how best we can drive this partnership. पीटर नवारो के कमेंट के बारे में हम लोगों ने कुछ गलत और गुमराह करने वाले कमेंट या स्टेटमेंट श्री नवारो की तरफ से देखा है और साथ ही साथ हम ये कहना चाहते हैं कि ये हमारे लिए अस्वीकारनीय है, इसको हम अस्वीकार करते हैं. We have seen the inaccurate and misleading statements made by Mr. Navarro, and obviously we reject them.
All right, let's discuss this further. Former Indian diplomat Ambassador Suresh K. Goyal and foreign affairs and geopolitical expert Adit Kothari are joining us on the broadcast. A very good morning to both of you, gentlemen. Ambassador Goyal, let me first come to you and ask you what do you think about the Sulk post that Donald Trump has very recently made on Truth Social, and that too he posted that very viral picture along with those lines that he has posted.
Some kind of a reaction from Washington was to be expected to the perception that India, China, and Russia are coming closer. My sense is that Donald Trump, he uses the kind of a language which is rather peculiar to him. I wouldn't have used the word deepest, darkest, etc., whatever kind of relations that India had or has with China, with whoever. But that is Donald Trump. He will use that kind of language, which I think he thinks not with his mind, but with somewhere else, whatever. So maybe gut. I don't know. Therefore, that some kind of a reaction was to be expected. It's a strong reaction, strong language, rather undiplomatic, but then that is the case. Number two, as far as we are concerned, we have given sufficient indication that our relationship with USA, we consider that relationship to be important, and that we will continue to engage with the USA, even as far as the trade agreement is concerned. We have not yet taken it off the table, despite everything that is coming from Washington. And we have indicated at the level of the minister himself that we are hopeful of having an agreement with Washington. On the other hand, I think it will be useful if Washington's shows some restraint and try to stop the kind of statements which are coming from Washington, like Brahmins benefiting from the Russian deal. Now, whatever he might have meant by the Brahmin, and my conviction is that he meant the elite society, elite people. Uh, that's how we normally call it. They are the Brahmins of the society, elitist people in business people. Uh, he might have meant that, but you don't use that kind of a racist and the casteist slur about any
Exactly.
country. So I'm going to leave it there, frankly speaking. As far as I'm concerned, it's not a very important kind of a tweet made by anyone at all. The language is painful, the language is bad. But otherwise, it was to be expected, really, in response to India, China, and Russia leading to a geopolitical reset in the world. That was expected. Yes.
Come to you and get your opening comments because I sense the change of tonality here coming in from Donald Trump. From past couple of days, I have been observing the kind of lines he has been delivering to the press when he was questioned about India. He did say that he has a very good rapport with Prime Minister Modi. He has, in fact, United States has a very good relationship with India. It's just the trade part that they are struggling with at the moment. But today, this post coming in, it does look like that he has shown the white flag as far as the relationship between India and US this time around is concerned.
I wouldn't say that it's quite a white flag as such. I mean, if you look at his initial approach, like you mentioned, Sakshi, that his initial approach was quite confrontational. It was quite aggressive, like Ambassador Goel basically pointed out, very undiplomatic, and that is the way President Trump basically conducts himself. And it was over the trade imbalances that India has. And he made it out to be about the Russian oil purchases that India has been doing over the last 2 years or so. However, there is a sense of hypocrisy because they don't have the same amount of spine to go after China or European Union, for example. I mean, China buys much more oil than India does, but just because they have so much of reliance on the supply chain with China, they cannot impose those kind of tariffs on and China, and cannot go into that sort of trade war with China, because that will completely paralyze the American economy. But there are trade imbalances with India, which he's repeatedly spoken about. The trade weighted average tariff between India and United States is basically 12% in favor of India versus 2% that of the United States. So there is that imbalance which he keeps harping about, he keeps talking about. And the eventual goal, I think, if you've read his book, The Art of the Deal, is he wants to go aggressive and then slowly sort of cede some ground, show a little bit of heart, and then come back onto the table to sort of get some agreements in place. So I think this is a precursor to what may come across in November, where he can go back to his domestic constituency and say that, look, I went hard at India, and now we do have a trade deal
Or
with
maybe
India. So
he'll
I
say
think
that he threatened us against with additional tariffs here, Radhit. What do
exactly,
you
and
think?
sanctions as well. So, and sanctions as well. So he is going to use the sanctions threat against India at some point to say that this is how I plan to get India back onto my side, Sakshi.
All right, Ambassador Goel, let me come back to you and ask you about this proposal of RIC Troika coming in from Russia. Do you think it's time for it to now finally arrive and teach West a lesson as well, that, you are not our sole option here. We can also form our alliances on our own?
Now, what you're asking is a very delicate question, really, because on the one hand, forming this kind of a financial institution does send different kinds of signals to the world. Please do remember that when the BRICS Infrastructural Bank uh, has sent all kinds of signal to the world that we are trying to basically establish institutions in competition with the Asian Development Bank, with the IMF, etc., etc. Even though the purpose may be very different, and in fact, also started the rumors of speculation about de-dollarization, which certainly we are not supporting. India is not supporting. It doesn't. It is not in our interest, and therefore, I would say that the proposal for such a financial institution must be studied very carefully. Our stu- our interests, wherever they are, should be really examined and considered. And if at the end of all the studies we find that yes, such an institution will be in our interest, then by all means we should go for it. But we should not be persuaded by simply either a desire to get back at the USA or a desire to accommodate certain other powers. It should be purely guided by our national interest, and that requires very careful examination. And I will leave it there for the time being.
All right, Adit, let me come back to you because ever since this SEO summit recently has happened and ever since that picture went viral, a lot of things have changed. We saw Pakistan's also, bidding to get cozied up to Russia. They're speaking to Vladimir Putin directly, Shehbaz Sharif. We won't speak about the viral audio from that particular meet, but let's also speak about how US took notes of it. We have Trump's administration speaking different kind of tones here. How do you think the narrative towards India has changed? And also because we have a meeting between Putin and Trump also coming up next.
I think one of the message that I think the White House and its press briefers have got clearly is that the criticism and any sort of pressure on India is not going to sway them away from seeking some sort of strategic autonomy, which India has maintained. India is not going to be Sino-centric, neither is it going to be America-centric. And that is the clear messaging that this particular administration has sent out to, I think, both sides of the hemisphere. And that I think is the moral of the story, which I think goes out very clearly. Now, coming back to how Pakistan is basically monkey balancing its relations with the America and Russia, I think the lesser spoken is better. I think it was more like the begging bowl that they got from Nigeria is basically being advertised here, and the Shehbaz Sharif is basically sitting in front of Putin and basically saying that you've got great relations with India. I admire that, but we also want some money from you, etc.
Yeah.
So that was the moral of the story that Shehbaz Sharif was basically sending out to his audience. Going forward, I think there is going to be some impasse, but there are sort of detractors from the American think tanks, from the right side of the America, the thinking ability Americans, people like Jack Bolton, people like Jake Sullivan, who have been part of the Trump administration, and they've come out and said that this sort of policy vis-a-vis India is basically shooting America on the foot, and it's not going to yield great results. So I hope the American administration has got they've got the answer that they were seeking, and hopefully they can make amends. And the 2 decades of hard work that was basically put in to bring the Indo-American relationships to where it was before this impasse, I hope we can get back to that status quo. Sakshi.
Well, we heard from MEA spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal today. He did not actually comment on the kind of post that Donald Trump has recently made, but he said that relationship with the US is based on the mutual respect and the kind of replies that we have been getting from them. He did actually condemn the kind of comments that Navarro has made in the past, like that one, the scathing jibe with the Brahmins, of course. But I also want to understand from you the kind of, like I initially said, it looks like a white flag post coming in from Donald Trump on Truth Social. Is there still a going back? Can the damage be still corrected?
Is that addressed to me or to Aditya?
Yes, sir, to you, Ambassador Goel.
Okay.
It's for
Yes.
you.
I I wouldn't really read so much in that post, frankly speaking.
Okay.
And so far, even though President Trump has made a few signals that he is interested in putting the relationship with India, or restoring part of it really, and bringing it back to the track, but I do not see really any great effort being made from Washington in that direction so far. What I would therefore say is, I would put this my remark on the side. Do not read too much into this thing. Uh, yes, it's a reaction. They would react to it. Uh, and India should develop options. There is no point becoming one country centric. We have believed in multipolarity. Please recall what E.M. Jaishankar said in his conversation with Lawrence Wong. And he said that
Yes.
in these days of uncertainty, we need a multipolar world with strategic autonomy. And we are one of the poles, I must say. Economically, we are a power. So is Singapore and ASEAN. So let us leave it there and work within that kind of a matrix where we have to juggle around and work our equations with not one or two, but with multiple partners.
Adit, coming back to you with a similar question, because I also want your opinion on this. Is there any going back from the kind of trade tensions that we are facing with the US at the moment and with the kind of relationship that we have with them?
I think everybody who works within the Indian diplomatic channels and sort of diplomatic office, I think they understand how President Trump conducts himself, which is in a very undiplomatic manner. I think everybody understands that. So I don't think people are taking him that seriously to actually do away with the 20-year-old, the strong buildup that we've had to Indo-US ties. I think they understand the kind of compulsions, the domestic compulsions that President Trump also has to his MAGA voter base. So which is why the H1B visa continues to play a very pivotal role in his rhetoric. The trade imbalances with India continue to play a very pivotal role because he wants to demonstrate that, yes, I am serious about bringing back manufacturing back into the United States. And for doing that, I am tackling, problem countries like India or China or Vietnam, who we've had a lot of reliance on supply chain with. So, which is why, I'm levying them with these Trump tariffs. And as a consequence, I will bring back some jobs into America. So that is the kind of messaging he's doing predominantly for his domestic audience, but it is having a rather negative impact in foreign relationships, so much so that he's actually opened the Pandora's box. He is the one who should be thanked for starting or kickstarting this sort of multipolar, the discourse around multipolarity all over again. I mean, SCO was basically a paper tiger, basically on paper prior to President Trump's Trump tariffs. We saw exactly what happened in the June edition of the SCO, where India basically staged a walkout, and now he's basically turned SCO into an all serious affair, functional organization where China and India are basically resetting their trade ties. They're opening up their direct flights. There's a border mechanism in place which is looking to mitigate all the border skirmishes and issues by 2027. So all of these things have opened up, all thanks to Donald Trump. So all in all, I think multipolar world is more of a reality, all thanks to Donald Trump now. Sakshi.
Ambassador Goel, let me also quickly take a word on the BRICS, because it's coming up. It's the next big thing, of course. How will things change over there with the recent developments coming into the picture?
BRICS is, of course, coming into becoming a very important forum, really speaking, with expansion. But let us look at it this way, really. We have been talking about global south. Now, if we look at BRICS and then we look at SCO, both are a prime example of the countries from south coming together for economic and the political agenda. SCO is primarily political. BRICS is primarily economic agenda coming together for their own growth and development. With the addition of a large number of countries, it has become, I'm not going to go the numbers, but it's become a very, very important platform. And this platform challenges, I would say, supremacy of USA and supremacy of many others. The issue is that there are certain countries which are more important in every platform than the others. I think that's a very risky kind of a thing to say, but that is how it is really. And India will have to maintain its role very, very carefully in both the organizations, SCO as well as BRICS. Given the preponderance of China, for example, economically, there is a great deal of asymmetry between China and India. So we will have to work very hard to make sure that our role is not lost. And I'm being very, very frank here. I didn't intend to be, that our role is not lost in the presence of other more powerful, stronger economic entities. But once we do that, BRICS is a very important economic organization, economic platform. And it is a reality in the world. It is going to be there. Yes.
Adit, let me take your opinion on this very recent activity by Donald Trump of his gala dinner that he has hosted. Because when we speak about the H1B visas issues, when we speak about the immigration issues and how Indians are actually suffering or are going to suffer in the near future with, with their travel plans or staying plans or business plans there in the US, Why inviting Indian origin CEOs, that to 5 in number, there at the table? What matlab, it is exactly looking like batana bhi nahi aata, jatana bhi nahi aata.
Yeah, but the worst part, actually, in all of that was that none of those five CEOs actually raised this particular issue with President Trump. Uh, Obviously, overtly, they didn't. Now, within back doors, within closed doors, if covertly they have, that is something which we will never get to know. But the fact of the matter is that the optics do not play out very well. I mean, the fact that Indians are contributing heavily into the United States startup industry. I think almost as if 60% of the American startups have some sort of Indian involvement. I think so. It's a fairly high number. So we are assimilating really well with the American hosts. We contribute in terms of taxation. We are sort of model citizens, and you cannot treat us this way. Should have been the message that the Indian origin American CEOs should have been sending out, but they haven't. But the fact of the matter is also that when Prime Minister Modi was in the United States, President Trump in that particular joint rally did say out that the H1B visa, which is being given out to Indians, is a legitimate one because they are coming and contributing to the American economy. They are not illegally staying in the United States. They are part of our legal process, and as a consequence, they are adding benefits to the U.S. economy. So it's a double-edged sword that President Trump is trying to play with. I hope senses prevail and they understand how important the Indian American population is to the United States and how much of contribution they actually bring onto the table, and that is what we can hope for.
All right, Ambassador Goyal, circling back to that Truth Social post, which Donald Trump, of course, recently made, it does look like that he is sulking at the moment. But I also want your input, your expertise of that line that he has written. Looks like we have lost Russia and India to deepest, darkest China. What exactly does he mean by that?
I mean, see, number one, his predominant concern seems to be China. That China is emerging as a challenge to the USA, and his efforts is to really see how to deal with China, how to not either basically marginalize, balance, reduce the growing influence of China. But at the same time, he's trying to accommodate China into his own schemes. He's increasing tariff on India, but
Absolutely.
nothing to do with China. And then he calls it deepest, darkest. So it is like a child playing. I mean, I remember of my own childhood, two children fighting when they during a game, and one child who is losing similarly begins to call names to the other guy. So I think when he says deepest, darkest, he's concerned that China may be winning over USA in this game. Is uh, reflected quite clearly, I would say. And it's a reflect. And what his post is saying that he's losing India and Russia also to the side that is winning. He does not understand that, at least I know about India, that for us also to accept India as the only single power, one global superpower in the world, is not acceptable to us.
All right,
Trump should
Ambassador.
understand that, but Trump does not understand global politics. He only
Absolutely.
understands deals. He only understands how to sell property. Sorry to say, but if he understands politics, he would realize that it is better for him to keep India on its side.